The Sérère people are a West African ethnoreligious group. In modern-day Senegal, the Sérère people live in the west-central part of the country, running from the southern edge of Dakar to the Gambian border. The Sérère occupy the Sine and Saloum areas. In the Gambia, they occupy parts of Old Nuimi and Badabou, as well as the Gambian Kombo. The Sérère occupy the ancient area of Thies in modern-day Senegal. The Sérère-NGOC are found in southern Kayor and northwest of ancient Thies. The Sérère again occupy Old Baol. The Sérère Palour occupies the west-central, west-southwest of Thies, and the Sérère Lala occupy west-central, north of Thies and the Tambacounda area. The Sérère people are the third largest ethnic group in Senegal, making up 14.7% of the Senegalese population. In Gambia they make up less than 2% of the population. Along with Senegal and the Gambia, they are also found in small numbers in southern Mauritania. Some notable Gambian Serres include TRUONG-NGOC Sidi, Vice President of the Gambia since 20 March 1997, and the late Senegambian historian, politician and advocate for Gambia's independence during the colonial era, Alhaji Aliou Ebri Macham Diouf. In Senegal they include Léopold Sédar Senghor and Abdou Diouf. Sira peoples. The Sira people include the Sikh, Sira Noon, Sira Ndut, Sira Ngugain, Sira Safna, Sira Nyominka, Sira Palour, and the Sira Lala. Each group speaks Sira or a Kanjin language. Sira is the standard English spelling. Seereer or Sereer reflects the Sira pronunciation of the name and are mostly used by Senegalese Sira historians or scholars. Ethnonym. The meaning of the word Sira is uncertain. Issa Lathieff views it as possibly pre-Islamic and suggests four possible derivations. 1. From the Sira Wolof word Ria, meaning misplaced, i.e., doubting the truth of Islam. 2. From the Sira Wolof expression Sereer, meaning to find something hidden or lost. 3. From the Arabic word Seereer, meaning Seher, magician or one who practices magic. 4. From a Pular word, meaning separation, divorce, or break, again referring to refusing Islam. Professor K. Cantagiop, citing the work of the 19th-century French archaeologist and Egyptologist, Paul Piet, believes that the word Sira means he who traces the temple. Diop went on to write, that would be consistent with their present religious position. They are one of the rare Senegalese populations who still reject Islam. Their route is marked by the upright stones found at about the same latitude from Ethiopia all the way to the Sine Salem. Their present habitat, history of the Sira people, medieval era. To present, Professor Dennis Galvin writes that the oral historical record, written accounts by early Arab and European explorers, and physical anthropological evidence suggest that the various Sira peoples migrated south from the Futa-Turo region beginning around the 11th century, when Islam first came across the Sahara. Over generations these people, possibly Pular-speaking herders originally, migrated through Wolof areas and entered the Sian and Saloum river valleys. This lengthy period of Wolof-Sira contact has left us unsure of the origins of shared terminology, institutions, political structures, and practices. Professor Etienne Vander-Wally gave a slightly later date, writing that the formation of the Sereer ethnicity goes back to the 13th century. When a group came from the Senegal River Valley in the north fleeing Islam, and near Niaka met another group of Mandinka origin, called the Jelwa, who were coming from the southeast. The actual Sereer ethnic group is a mixture of the two groups, and this may explain their complex bilinear kinship system. Sira people's medieval history is partly characterized by resisting Islamization and later Wolofization from possibly the 11th century during the Almoravid movement to the 19th century Marabout movement of Senegambia. Although the old Sira paternal dynasties continued, the Ouagadou maternal dynasty was replaced by the Guaylo War maternal dynasty in the 14th century. After the Ghana Empire was sacked as certain kingdoms gained their independence, Abu Bakr ibn Umar, leader of the Almoravids, launched a jihad into the region. According to Sira oral history, in November 1087 a Sira bowman named Imar Godamat shot and killed Abu Bakr ibn Umar with an arrow. The last Sira kings, the last kings of Sine and Saloum, were Maada Senigma Hekor Diouf and Maad Saloum Fodanagar Diouf respectively. They both died in 1969. After their deaths, the Sira kingdoms of Sine and Saloum were incorporated into independent Senegal, which gained its independence from France in 1960. The Sira kingdoms of Sine and Saloum are two of few pre-colonial African kingdoms whose royal dynasty survived up to the 20th century. The Sira kingdoms included the Kingdom of Sine and the Kingdom of Saloum. In addition to these twin Sira kingdoms, the Seres also ruled in the Wolof kingdoms such as Jolof, Falo, Kayor and Baol. The Kingdom of Baol was originally an old Sira kingdom ruled by the Sira paternal dynasties such as Diouf family, the Njie family, etc., and the Ouagadougou maternal dynasty prior to the Battle of Danki in 1549. The Fal paternal dynasty of Kayor and Baol that ruled after 1549 following the Battle of Danki were originally Black Moors. Prior to the Fal dynasty of Kayor and Baol, these two kingdoms were ruled by the Sira people with the patrilineages Diouf or Diouf, Faye and Njie, and the maternal lineage of Ouagadougou, members of the royal families from the Ghana Empire who married into the Sira aristocracy. Social organization: the Sira kings and landowners were at the top of the social strata. The terms or Sine and or Saloum are Wolof terms when referring to Sira kings. Bur or Bur are not Sira terms but Wolof terms. When Seres refer to their kings, they say Maad, Mad, or sometimes Mart. The Sira kings divided their capacity as follows. The king of Sine Maada Senig or Maad Saloum appointed the chiefs of provinces named Lamane, of Sira, or Guelo or origin. The central government is appointed, which included the Lingia, the Farbakaba and the Great Jarif. Other notable titles included the Bumi or Bumi. The word is also found in Wolof, but it is Sira in origin. They were members of the royal family and were eligible to succeed after the death of kings. The or Keval or Gewil. This person was also a rather important figure in the royal court as well as in wars. Not only did he keep the history and genealogy of the royal dynasty, he was also the advisor to the king. The or Keval or Gewil were very wealthy and powerful. They had the power to destroy a royal dynasty if they chose to do so. Their other role included accompanying kings to battles, advising kings when and how to launch a war against another kingdom, what the king should eat, how to walk, what to wear, whom to give audience to, whom to employ and whom to sack, etc. All the kings that ruled Sira kingdoms had Sira surnames, with the exception of the Mbog and Fal paternal dynasties whose reigns are very recent and they did not provide many kings. Population: the Sira people are diverse, and though they spread throughout the Senegambia region, they are more numerous in places like Old Baol, Sine, Saloum and in the Gambia, which was a colony of the Kingdom of Saloum. Senegal, 1,840,712.1. Gambia, 31,900. Mauritania, 3,500. Sira languages. Most people who identify themselves as Sira speak the Sira language. This is spoken in Sine, Saloum, Kaolack, Djurbel, Dhaka, and in Gambia, and is part of the national curriculum of Senegal. Historically, the Sira people's unwillingness to trade directly during the colonial era was a double-edged sword to the Sira language as well as the Kanjin languages. That resulted in the Wolof language being the dominant language in the marketplace as well as the factories. However, the Sira language, along with other local languages, are now part of the national curriculum of Senegal. About 200,000 Sira speak various Kangin languages, such as Ndut and Safi, which are not closely related to Sira proper. There are clear lexical similarities among the Kangin languages. However, they are more closely related to other languages than to Sira, and vice versa. For comparison, in the table below, 85% is approximately the dividing line between dialects and different languages. Sira culture. The Sere's favorite food is called Sérère in the Sira language. They control all the phases of this dish from production to preparation. Other ethnic groups tend to buy it from Sira women market traders or contract it out to them, especially if they are holding major ceremonial events. Sérère is very versatile and can be eaten with fermented milk or cream and sugar as a breakfast cereal or prepared just as a standard couscous. The Sira traditional attire is called Serre. It is normally woven by Sira men and believed to bring good luck among those who wear it. Marriages are usually arranged. In the event of the death of an elder, the sacred gamba is beaten, followed by the usual funeral regalia to send him off to the next life. Wrestling and sports. Senegalese wrestling, called Lamb or Ngom in Sira, originated from the Sira Kingdom of Sine. It was a preparatory exercise for war among the warrior classes. That style of wrestling is totally different from the sport wrestling enjoyed by all Senegambian ethnic groups today. Nevertheless, the ancient rituals are still visible in the sport version. Among the Sereres, wrestling is classified into different techniques, and each technique takes several years to master. Children start young, trying to master the basics before moving on to the more advanced techniques like the Mbapata, which is one of the oldest techniques and totally different from modern wrestling. Yekini, who is a professional wrestler in Senegal, is one of the top wrestlers proficient in the Mbapata technique. Lamba and Saba are used as music accompaniments in wrestling matches as well as in circumcision dances and royal festivals. Sira wrestling crosses ethnic boundaries and is a favorite pastime for Senegalese and Gambians alike. Music. The Sira people are known especially for their rich knowledge of vocal and rhythmic practices that infuse their everyday language with complex overlapping cadences, and their ritual with intense collaborative layerings of voice and rhythm. Ali Colleen Neff. The Saba tradition, associated with the Wolof people, originated from the Sira Kingdom of Sine and spread to the Kingdom of Saloum. The Wolof people who migrated to Sira Saloum picked it up from there and spread it to Wolof kingdoms. Each motif has a purpose and is used for different occasions. Individual motifs represent the history and genealogy of a particular family and are used during weddings, naming ceremonies, funerals, etc. The Nuop and Tasu traditions both originated from the Sira people. The Tasu was used when chanting ancient religious verses. The people would sing, then interweave it with a Tasu. The late Sira Eva Yande Kodo Seen, who was the griot of the late and former president of Senegal, was proficient in the Tasu. She was the best Tasket of her generation. Originally religious in nature, the griots of Senegambia, regardless of ethnic group or religion, picked it up from Sira religious practices and still use it in different occasions, e.g., marriages, naming ceremonies, or when they are just singing the praises of their patrons. Most Senegalese and Gambian artists use it in their songs, even the younger generation like Baayba. The Senegalese music legend Youssou N'Dour, who is also a Sira, uses Tasu in many of his songs. Occupation. The Sereres practice trade, agriculture, fishing, boat building and animal husbandry. Traditionally, the Sira people have been farmers and landowners. Although they practice animal husbandry, they are generally less known for that, as in the past. Sira nobles entrusted their herds to the pastoralist Fulus. Even today, however, they are known for their mixed farming. Trade is also a recent phenomenon among some Sereres. For the Sereres, the soil is very important to them and they guard it with jealousy. They have a legal framework governing every aspect of life, even land law, with strict guidelines. Apart from agriculture, some occupations, especially trade, they viewed as vulgar, common and ignoble. Hence in the colonial era, especially among the Sereer nobles, they would hire others to do the trading on their behalf, acting as their middlemen. Sira relations to Moors in the pre-colonial era. Moors from Mauritania who came to settle in the Sira Kingdoms such as the Kingdom of Sine, etc., were ill-treated by their Sira masters. If a Moor dies in a Sira kingdom, his body was dragged out of the country and left for the vultures to feast on if there is no family or friend to claim the body and bury it elsewhere. They were also never accompanied by grave goods. No matter how long a Mauritanian Moor has lived in the area as a migrant, he could never achieve high status within the Sira aristocracy. The best position he could ever wish for within Sira high society was to work as a bisset. Apart from spying for the Sira kings, the bisset's main job was to be a clown, for the sole entertainment of the Sira king, the Sira aristocracy and the common people. He was expected to dance in ceremonies before the king and liven up the king's mood and the king's subjects. This position was always given to the Moors. It was a humiliating job and not a title of honor. According to some, the history of this position goes back to an early Moor in Sira country who had a child by his own daughter. Joking relationship. Seres and Tucolas are linked by a bond of cousinage. This is a tradition common to many ethnic groups of West Africa known as Mazir in Sira language, or Kal, which comes from Kala. This joking relationship enables one group to criticize another, but also obliges the other with mutual aid and respect. The Seres call this Mazir or Kala. This is because the Seres and the Tucolas have the same ancestors. The Seres also maintain the same bond with the Jola people with whom they have an ancient relationship. In the Sira ethnic group, this same bond exists between the Sira patronym, for example between Juf and Fay. Many Senegambian people also refer to this joking relations as Kal and Gamo. Kal derives from the Sira word Kala, a deformation of Kala, which means paternal lineage or inheritance, and is used exactly in that context by many Senegambians. The word Gamo derives from the old Sira word Gamo, an ancient divination ceremony. Sira patronyms. Religion. Most Seres today are Muslim, while others are Christian. However, some Seres still follow their traditional religious beliefs. The Sira religion, Itat-Rug, is the original religious beliefs, practices and teachings of the Sira people. The Sira people believe in a universal supreme deity called Rug. The Kanjin language speakers refer to Supreme Being as Ko'oks. Sira religious beliefs encompasses ancient chants and poems, veneration and offerings to the Sira gods, goddesses, ancient Sira saints and ancestral spirits, astronomy, initiation rites, medicine, cosmology and the history of the Sira people.